So now we ask the question, did Einstein say, if the facts don't fit the theory, then change the facts? Unfortunately, Einstein is being credited with things that he does not appear to have said. So if we go onto this website, which gives quotes, it quotes Einstein as saying, if the facts don't fit the theory, change the facts. However, if you look into things in more detail, it tells you that it's dubious as to whether he actually said it. He's been credited with saying it, but there's not the evidence to establish it. If you go to this book, The Ultimate Quotable Einstein, then you find the quote is there, but it's attributed to Einstein without there being a reliable source for it. So it could be a fake quote, and there's quite a few things that could be fake quotes by Einstein. So when you see memes like this, it could all just be fake. Many quotes attributed to him are unreliable. What I think has happened is, as per this article and others like it, they point out there were opponents to Einstein in the early days, and I suspect that his opponents might have viewed Einstein's method as changed the facts to fit his theory. If that is the case, then facts ironically enough get distorted. Some unknown person might have thought Einstein's method was to change the facts, and then error gets attributed to him. When we look into the history of Einstein's relativity, there is a lot of moving goalposts going on, and that's pointed out in my other videos. And that makes it look like altering or reinterpreting the facts to try to fit in with the theory. So let's have a quote from the fictional Sherlock Holmes. He says, "Never theorize before you have data. Invariably you end up twisting facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts." And I think that's a reliable quote in one of Sherlock Holmes's stories. And so the idea was around before Einstein that facts can get distorted to fit theories. And it does seem the method of Einstein is to theorize first and then fit the facts to fit what was theorized. If you go to this paper, this is Einstein's first paper on relativity. Apart from making brief mention of moving a magnet and conductor, Einstein is not referencing citing experiments that he's working from. So he's given the impression he's working from theory alone without appealing to experiments. So if you go to Wikipedia, Einstein had a lot of thought experiments, and it says a hallmark of Einstein's career was his use of visualized thought experiments as a fundamental tool for understanding physical issues and elucidating his concepts to others. And it says so for on there. So Einstein does seem to have method working from thought experiments, i.e. from his imagination. And there's a picture of Einstein chasing a beam of light in his imagination. That's one of his thought experiments. What would happen if he travelled along a beam of light? What would he see? Then, based on his thought experiments, his imagination, he wanted to reinterpret the facts, which were the experiments, to conform to it, which sounds very much like change the facts to fit the theory. Then we have criticisms by such a person as Einstein, an experimental physicist. As Wikipedia points out, Louis Einstein was an English physicist whose most notable achievement were in the precise measurement of time and the determination of the speed of light. He was a critic of Einstein's theory of relativity. And I've got a quote from Einstein. Einstein's use of a thought experiment together with his ignorance of experimental techniques gave a result which fooled himself and generations of scientists. So Einstein is criticising Einstein's method of working from his imagination, which was thought experiments. The whole method of Einstein was wrong, but the appeal is that you can think about nature physics and can work everything out by just using one's imagination alone without having to do any physical experiments. Thought experiments are okay, but it's the difference between doing the experiment, actual physical experiment, then using a thought experiment to illustrate the result, and thinking of a thought experiment, then imposing that onto an interpretation of an experiment. First way is okay, second way is bad, and Einstein seems to be doing it by imposing his imagination onto how to interpret experiments. And so the difference is between a detective going to the scene of a murder, deciding knew who the killer is, and then looking for the clues to support that belief, while ignoring clues showing different, versus a detective going to the scene of the murder and collecting the clues, then deciding what the clues indicate as to who the killer is. The first detective is bad, working from preconceived ideas and only looking for confirmation biased. The second detective is good. Now Einstein acts like a bad detective. He has a preconceived idea of his theory which he wants to impose on experiments. The problem was Einstein imagined sitting on his beam of light and came up with this light speed postulate, and then imposed that on what he believed physics would behave. So Einstein messed up science physics and has attracted others to deal with science physics in the same way that he messes up things. Whereas someone like Tesla, around the same time as Einstein, who does his physics firmly based on doing experiments, gets mostly ignored. And that's the end of this little video. Thank you at the end.